Hello, my name is Everett Pierce of Einstein 314. This is duly noted 24C. 24C. And the main topic is leader. So, everyone on the earth here, which is also known as the sixth heaven, you're here because you wanted to be here. You're here because we chose you to be here. So when you make an observation, just a simple observation, which is what a president of presidents must have. You're going to be a leader. You have to use your power observation. You have to use what I call collective information, collective knowledge. Okay? And a leader, what is primary, what is secondary? So, primary, when you act or you decide upon something, is you decide upon something from I know. I know, either from experience or from the collective information that you have. So, when questioned, and someone is accusing you of doing the wrong thing, you can go and say, here's my A, B, C, D, E, F, G, down to Z, as to why I based my decision upon these factors, versus I think. Now, I think is secondary, like vice president is to president, okay? Because I know energy. You will be in a position because of ignorance, the lack of experience, that you have to decide upon something. But from the collective knowledge, information, from your power observation, there's not enough there of certainty. And it forces you into I think. Meaning now you're using your gut instincts, and essentially you're doing a Hail Mary. Okay, but if you're going to do a Hail Mary, you're going to do I think. At least put some plausible reasons as to why you came to that conclusion. If nothing else. Because if you decided upon, like a president decides to do this, he says, well, I think that was necessary. Well, what's your rationale? What's your protocol? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, just by the sounds of it, you listening to me, on this 29th day of December 2016, that sounds almost insane. I mean, my life depends on it, and you're acting or deciding upon I think, and you don't even have an answer for me. That's pathetic. You know, the ones that are full of shit, pardon my expression, at least they come up with some, even if it's hideous, they at least come up with reasons to be justified in their bullshit. Okay, so, now, a president, a leader must know this term, destabilization. And he or she must be aware and be well developed in their skill sets of destabilization. Because if things happen, and as a parable, and we learn this fundamental stuff from the chair that we sit on and the table that Jesus in the Last Supper had, meaning that table that he sat at, if it only had 3 legs and it was designed to be with 4, that table has been destabilized. It doesn't mean that it can't hold food, but now it's less functional than the way it was designed. Destabilization. So, for example, if you have high class like a Donald Trump, and you have low class like me, making $600 a month, and there's no middle class, your society has been destabilized. And that would explain why you had stock market crash, while you had housing bottoming out, because it destabilizes many things. So a leader must know these things and must be on it ASAP, as soon as possible, and stop it in its track. So when you're using collective information, you also have to assume, which is the default, these are the symptoms to the main source problem, as we know with a cold. A cold can bring about sore throat, snotty nose, ear problems, upset stomach. These are symptoms of the cold that you don't see. So, what's in the news about Israel? Now, I'm not saying this from the perspective to make you fear or panic, because I know human behavior on an advanced level 3. So, but on the same token, it must be significant, it must be important as to why I would say something of this sort. Now, I'm going to give you, we hold these truths to be self-evident. And I'm going to let you decide for yourself. Now, when you go back in time, 2016 years ago, or even 3,000 years ago, or even back to the beginning of time, when you explain certain things or you teach people, your parable has to change according to that person's evolution. So, I don't use an example of my smartphone or video or audio to explain something to a caveman that doesn't know what audio is, that doesn't know what a smartphone is or a computer is. So now you have to use everything in your environment to teach him a base energy's foundation of energy, code of conduct. Okay, so Israel is a very key element in terms of energy. Now, what is the significance to Israel? Is if you destabilize Egypt, or Israel, and you can take your scientists, you can take all your archaeologists, and you can do your meters there. If you are developed in this area of supernova, is what you'll find out is that Israel, the energy aspect to Israel, which is symbolism of the crucifixion of Jesus, means death. That was one of the reasons why crucifixion, or that symbolism, that part of the timeline had to happen in Israel. Meaning, if you destabilize Israel, you basically start a chain reaction of the energy's polarity on this earth into what is known as a supernova. You say, okay, but don't take my word for it yet. Okay? As we know with a tire can be very large, but there's a little stem, a little tiny stem, and there's also a little weight that we put on it to balance it out. Okay, but just a little stem. And I use Israel like the 7-pound foot, which I will also explain. So destabilization, a leader has to know destabilization. Like a chair. If you see a chair and it's built to have 4 legs and you only see 3, you may not want to sit in it. Otherwise, the most obvious, you're going to fall back. You're going to hurt yourself. So, do some research just on that word alone. I can write volumes after volumes after volumes after volumes after volumes that would, side by side, that would make the encyclopedia seem like a brochure. Because I know this area quite well. All leaders of leaders, has to know this. Has to know this inside and out. You don't become a leader of leaders unless you have successfully completed knowing about destabilization. Because if you don't, and when things are being destabilized, things that you can't even see. You have to use your other skill sets to know about, with the assistance of the highest level of energy, which is known as God, energy, Allah, Jehovah, whatever you want to call it. So you destabilize Israel and you got major problems. Now, as you can see in the weather pattern, Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is the 45th president. If you look at the weather pattern has been roughly at a 45-degree angle. That's normal for an evolutionary process. So, halfway. Okay, it's also symbolism A plus plus plus. Means we are halfway to level 2 of leadership. We have no life out there has ever reached this level. You represent less than 1% of the life out there. So, with the element of diversity, of leaders coming together, that has never been done before. Man has never lived beyond, completed January the 2nd, 2021. But man, in terms of Mayans, 12/21/2012. Well, they forgot to use the 10 factor on there, on the last digit. 2 becomes an 8, 2018. Man has not seen a day past 2018. So, that's why we have deja vu. It's because you have lived this life, evolution, a million times over. And an evolutionary reset is 4 billion years, give or take. So, that's why people have deja vu. So, okay. Israel. Real simple. On the level of a child. Draw a line around Israel. It looks like a shoe. Okay. Now, just over here, you have Italy. In terms of the yin-yang, male and female, it looks like a boot. Italy looks like a long boot. Okay, a long boot. A woman is known to be wearing high-heel boots. That's the yin-yang. So if you see a boot, you automatically, what we know with shoes, because we have 2 feet, that there's going to be 2 of them. Okay, with the yin-yang, if there's one representing the male or female, the other one's going to represent a male. Okay, so if you outline Israel, it looks like a shoe. Which brings in another element that we know, and it's been a story, and it's been movies, Achilles' heel. Achilles was very strong and powerful in the way he was destroyed through the Achilles' heel. I mean, the 7-pound foot. I mean, it was something very small that destroyed him. Outside of that, he seemed like 7 foot, 10 foot, and bulletproof. Well, that's what Israel is. That location, geographically. So the importance. Now, if you take the name Jew, Jew, okay, J is the 10th letter, E is the 5th letter, and W is the 23rd letter. Okay, so 23, that's 28, that's 38. Now, 3 and 8, in terms of your hand, in terms of praying, if I counted my fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I put my hands together like I'm a praying Catholic or a praying Christianity, 3 and 8 is in the middle. Keystone, if you see the bridges, there is something in the middle that holds it together. Keystone. So Israel is a keystone in many ways. So even if no one lives there, it's a keystone in terms of energy. So if you don't believe me, fine. I do not have anything to lose in this respect. If this keystone is disrupted, this planet goes into a supernova. And the first thing before the supernova, you'll notice that the weather pattern from a 45, it will shift to a 60. And so what we would see as a Category 5 hurricane or tornado, that would be the smallest one you'll see of the things that will come about. And earthquakes, and the largest one recorded, I think it's 9 something. So when that shifts to a 60 degree, 9 will be your smallest earthquake. So many things will happen if you disturb a keystone. Okay, so now we have established what you can see. Now back then, they weren't able, other than people had drawn maps, they had an idea what things look like, but they didn't really know what it looked like. Now that we're in 2016 and we have satellite images and we can see things clearly, so we got a big shoe and we have a small shoe. Okay, if you see Israel, you outline it, right next to it is the Dead Sea, Mediterranean, MD. MD is abbreviation for doctor, means higher level of evolution. Okay, but the shoe of Israel, as if it's sitting on a body of water, and the way it's lined up as if the shoe is walking on water. Okay, so walking on water, that's also symbolism pointing to Jesus. The story of him walking on water. The story of Achilles' heel. Now we have, the issue with the discrepancy in Israel. And this has been, if the information I'm getting in the news is not fake news, and it's not, I have to put in the factor that some things are deliberately sent to me to sidetrack me. Palestinians. Okay, back in Jesus' day. Now, I don't say this I think. I say this from I know. So, I know back then that the Palestinians, they wanted, basically, it's like stealing the gold medalists from the Bolt. Because they didn't have the gold medalists, they want to be the ones that have it. Okay, they were also behind the torture and the crucifixion of Jesus. Okay, and as what I hear from the news, and even from the leader of Israel, which by listening to him, just the tones, not the words he's saying, but just the verbal, nonverbal communications that he is saying and doing, is conviction on a level that it doesn't get much higher than that. That tells me what he's saying is of truth. It is of, someone saying, I'm at my last, I don't know what to do. Okay. And he also meant the Palestinians wanted, for a long time, evidently still want to kill the Jews. Well, they also wanted to kill Jesus. Okay. So that was one of my time. That was one of my life. Reincarnation does exist. You think of Christianity, they use the term born again. In Revelations, they use the term of raising the dead from the graves. Well, back then, in terms of evolution, if you mention reincarnation, they had trouble with that. See, what do you mean? When you died, that's it, infinite. So it was difficult to teach people what reincarnation is. So you had to teach them in other ways, born again. But they interpret it as, if you accept Jesus as your Savior, He died for your sins, and you were born again. Is a state of being. Okay, well, born again Christian, raising from the grave, there's literal and metaphorically. It was intended as primary is to be literally, is Christianity is a form of religion. Okay, because you figure the highest level of evolution, meaning God, has to facilitate, has to overlook multitude of people. Because when you look around in this planet, the people, the plants, the insects, everything you see on this planet was brought here, by the way. You know, of anyone of science should have come to a conclusion. You know, if you have a big mass of iron, you don't get this umpteen amount of life in trees and insects and people and in the human race, just out of a coincidence that it mutated out of a fishtail. So you think of the lottery, of all the different combinations. You know, that's essentially you, and everything here is the best of what's out there, and you represent less than 1%. And in the Revelations, mentioning 144,000 will reign in heaven. That's symbolism. Because 1, 4, 4, and 3 zeros. Well, if you put a descriptive value, you would say 3 zeros, and then 2 4s. 3, 4, 2, 1. Or you go 1. Well, if reading it this way. So, using a descriptive value. You can read it as 342nd. You can also read it as 341st. I'm born on December 7th. Now, in our seal, United States seal, above their eagle, if you connect the dots, or in other words, is you connect the stars, you will find the 6-pointed Star of David. And as what we know with Israel, if it's facing right to left, it's going to be staring right at Egypt. While on our back of our $1 bill is the pyramid. A particular pyramid that you would only associate to Egypt. Because we have other pyramids, but they are in different format. Where down in Chichen Itza, which is also one of my designs in my previous life, teaching the Mayans, is they also have steps. So this pyramid would have steps on it if it was in reference to South America, down in Chichen Itza. Or say it in reverse, it's a Chechen. It's either sounds like it's a kitchen or it's a chicken. Okay, that's a play on humor. But, okay, so the Palestinians. Okay, so Israel represents the small shoe. And how we would know, Jews is a 3-letter, Trinity, third element, Palestinians, big long. Okay, so as we know as children, if you have this thing, you put the round peg in the round hole. Small shoe, small name. Jews. Small shoe, as we know with Italy, that is the big boot, big shoe. So Palestinians, you know, not only were they behind the torture of Jesus and the crucifixion of Jesus, and as what I see today is that Israel has been trying like hell in terms of peace and working with them, but they only want to destroy them. Well, it seems like some things never change. And I don't really blame a whole lot the Palestinians. It's because generation after generation after generation, they pass these things down to people, and they are only believing and adopting certain concepts and beliefs that has been handed down to them. And if much of that is lies and deception, then they are on the premises of lies and deception. So I'm not against anyone out there. I have a love of life of all people, all walks of life. So my suggestion to the Palestinians is step in as secondary and allow the Jews of Israel to be primary. That's the reason for that. Now we're going to discuss a part of what I would do in that situation that you may not like. But since I'm acting upon I know, Meaning, I know what is the worst of evils and the lesser of the evils. Meaning that I would first, the Jews there, I would have them evacuated. I would get the word out to them, and everyone there would evacuate. And if they're Palestinians, and they've been wanting to fight them and kill them anyways, just leave them there. Because I would bring down so much force that the stones there would be no bigger than a grain of sand. I would, if anything, I would put it in a position that no one lives there. Because that's essentially what the Palestinians are trying to do. They're trying to disrupt this keystone. They're trying to take the power. It's like they're trying, like we see even in the United States, people taking credit for someone else's work. And what I just explained to you is we hold these truths to be self-evident, using the big shoe and the smaller shoe. And you make your observation, walking on water. I mean, it's like I call the chicken concept. It looks like a chicken, sounds like a chicken, it walks like a chicken, it lays an egg like a chicken, it tastes like a chicken, and chicken. Then what we use in our court system, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's how. And we use this in our court system. So my take on that, if the Palestinians don't want to step back, take a deep breath, and stop their nonsense, and say, here, there's Israel. All the Jews have left. And I would, just like ISIS, and I would hate, it's not that I hate them, I would hate that I'm now in a position that I have to destroy something that's been deemed superior and awesome. And because you're not willing to use the fundamentals of energy, and you want to kill them versus find a resolve, then what they are doing is about extinction. So I'd rather see it that you are extinct versus other nations around you, because you get all the nations around you very nervous. And I would think by now, okay, that whether it be Russia or China, the United States, would have known by now that that particular location is like the Achilles heel. So push come to shove at the worst, say, oh, that's a religious area. It's sacrifice, and it's got this religious aspect. No. Well, it does and it doesn't. Okay, not to disrespect anyone in this respect. But if it comes, you have two choices of self-preservation of mankind. Because this is Achilles' heels to all nations, to all people on this planet. If that's activated, it's something as small as that. I mean, I could be a 400-pound linebacker. I'm strong, I can carry 3 people on my back down to the end zone. But it only takes a 7-pound foot to stop me. And that's what Hitler had done. He acted as a 7-pound foot. Now, I don't understand, I don't have enough reliable information about Assad in Syria, which is not far away. But I have 3 confirmations out of 6 that is confirming him is to be Hitler, a reincarnated Hitler. And that is what I'm seeing with Syria. If the news is coming to me is correct, one of the things that you will always be able to identify Hitler by is the wake of dead bodies. That's just Hitler. He has a particular mindset of things, and it's a want. He's willing to kill for what he wants and wants to achieve. He's trying to develop himself in terms of a leader. Essentially, he thinks, I'm a leader of all leaders, president of all presidents, generals of all generals. And in his mind, he seems to think that he can outdo me. Because on the 7th heaven, he was able to trip me very briefly. Not in a way that I died or anyone else died, but just enough for anyone to take notice. Well, that is a valuable skill set in terms of tripping. So if you're at war against someone, you have to have the ability to trip someone. I mean, say for example, say I'm a sniper and it's just me. I'm the only one on this defense. Okay, and I see, say, 25 people, Palestinians coming to me. And I'm a sniper. I don't sit there and just shoot them dead. Bang. I will put strategy. Now, I did tell you that I have warfare on level 11. Basically, after 10, it's like, I'd rather put effort into finding a resolve than have to go through all this horrific ways of accomplishing self-preservation. So, I would deliberately wound one at a time. Because how they're bond with each other. Now that you didn't kill him, the others will feel inclined to carry him. So the wounded will slow the rest of the group down. That puts the advantage to me. So, and then I would implement other warfare tactics that basically would put a man of one would literally slaughter a group of 25, a group of 100, a group of 1,000. So that's what happens when you have completed up into 11 a warfare. One man using many skill sets can kill people in the thousands, tens of thousands, into the millions. Okay. But that's skill sets I'd rather not use. Now, would I be willing to use it for the self-preservation of mankind, the human race? Absolutely. Why do you think I went to the extent of developing my skill sets? So I'm not here to try to scare you or anything or make you believe. But if you're looking for answers, and if you're the United States or you're Russia or China, you need to wake up. You know, what is rightfully the Jews and rightfully Israel? You cannot allow it the other people. You know, they say it's a two-state state. Because you figure Christianity, it started there. And then we have 50 states of the United States. And you got North America and South America. Okay. So, technically, America, which is Christianity, Israel would be 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Means a total of 51. Just like our numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A total of 10 digits, but actually 1 through 9 actually holds value. Means if I have 1 stick and then this one here is 2 sticks and 3 sticks and 4 sticks and then no sticks. But 0 still has a value because of placement. The comma, the period, also important to see, which is like a 7-pound foot. If you remove a comma or a period in your checking account, it dramatically changes it. Not that it did change it, but just by the simple placement of it. So I would say to China, to Russia, to United States, is that needs to be resolved ASAP. And if they are trying to kill them, that needs to stop too. Now, I would like to know a little more in depth as to why, from what I heard, as long as it's not fake news or anything, as to why Russia is giving refuge or protecting, I don't know the whole story, but just from what I'm hearing, to Assad. All I would need is 3 more confirmations. I'm halfway to confirming he is Hitler reincarnated. And with the bodies already happening, and I have to know Hitler in every aspect. He's earned that, actually. Even if it's just a small trip. As we know with a 400-pound linebacker, only takes a 7-pound foot to stop him from getting the end zone. And he's able to carry 3 guys in with him. It's what can stop you. And so when you look at in terms of laws of energy, we hold these truths to be self-evident. It only takes a little pinhole in your tire to deflate it. It only takes a valve stem of letting out the air. Now that tire, which is big and strong and everything, is now useless. You can drive on it, but it'll just be a matter of time before it self-destructs. So that's the significance to Israel. That's why it had to start there in terms of the crucifixion, and why the Palestinians were behind this. So, because, they were led with their emotions, like we are just talking about in terms of the Republicans and the Democrats. And when people are driven by their raw emotions and their logic is in tow or really dragging behind, so the Jews were leading by their logic in tow with their emotions. So that whole area, when you outline it, if it looks like a shoe, that is the Jews. So, and they want stake in it. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. And it's not my fault that your future generations before you, if you're Palestinian, why they have taught you the wrong way of falsehood and what have you, and what has driven you to hate the Jews, to kill them, territorial. But I'm going to tell everyone that's linked in on this planet, big nations, is think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. Because if we lose with Israel, everyone loses. You'll have major disasters within the weather, because the weather will change. It'll shift 15 degrees from 45 to 60, and then the earth will be into a supernova. So, the Son of God, that's why that term, the Sun, if this planet goes into a supernova, it is bright as the sun, like a big firecracker. Intensely bright. Sun. S-O-N and S-U-N. Okay. Which is another, we hold these truths to be self-evident. So, it's not my intentions to disrespect anyone. But now that this is the topic in the news, and if everything is being told and illustrated correctly, I would say the Palestinians, your legacy is over with. That started 2016 years ago, and it sounds like you've been adamant about teaching your future generations to stay at it. No. What is Jews, like I even said as Abraham Lincoln, what is the Jews? Let them enjoy what little they have. If you, in anywhere, I don't care what nation you are, you go through the effort to grow something or establish something, then there, even if it's small, like a keystone, it is theirs. And especially there, because of the symbolism there. It was intended to remind people destabilization is that's like removing a leg. Actually, Israel is like removing two legs to a table. Depending on where you take the two legs from on a four-legged table, you still have a majorly compromised country. So as a president, I would tell all the Jews to leave. It's about self-preservation. It's for them and self-preservation for all nations. And the Palestinians want their glimmer of the gold medal. Fine, stay there. Then I would say, Russia, I give you the clear, all the Jews are out. Obliterate it. I don't want to see anything bigger than a frickin' grain of sand. And there'll be no hard feelings. No hard feelings whatsoever. And if there's still bodies there, we'll wrap them up just like their faith is, in respect and love, and return them to wherever they are. But I'd rather have no one there to, at the very worst or least. So, but that's why we try to come to a resolve. try to work things out. But the Jews have to be primary. Now, and from my understanding, the Jews of Israel, they've been trying to work with you guys, together. A lot of symbolism from, the wise man coming to see baby Jesus. Even through the crucifixion is about coming together. And you look at the United States, you got a variety of cultures and religions coming together. So Christianity is about facilitating multiple levels of evolution, religions, all sorts of things, governments. So you figure all nations out there or groups always seems to have a head person. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Even criminals, there's always a head person. But you still have to have the head leader of over the leaders. And you say, well, God is the head leader of things. Well, you say, yeah, well, he is. He's the head leader of the universe out there. You still need a head leader of leaders. And this person has to be knowledgeable, intelligent, and very skilled at what he does in many areas. It has, whether from economics to destabilization, being able to bring it up, bring it down, yin yang of energy. So, this is not to scare you, but this is duly noted 24C, the significance, importance surrounding Israel. So if you like my video and you have benefited from it and you want to give back or donate or give your appreciation gift, you can do that at paypal.me/Everett, EVERETT, and you can do your generosity, your donation there. So with that, I think we'll end duly noted 24C. And without a doubt, think all nations, all walks of life, what you're doing, and especially Palestinians. Because if I was president, I will give you a chance, like the cobra, I will give you the warning. You don't heed to that warning and get out of your ignorance and work towards a solution, I will have to bring extinction upon you. Otherwise, if we don't, then it's all of us. So that, it wouldn't be no hard feelings. So it can't be. But everyone seems to be in their emotions and they're not thinking things out. It was intended to be simple. With that, we'll end it right there. And we'll continue on the topic of leader of leaders and why you are an apprentice. Thank you for your time. Godspeed.